Hello, good day. Welcome to today's episode of Cardinals Up. If you are a new subscriber, this channel is mainly focused on tech, content strategy, research, social issues. We'll be diving into critical issues that deals with tech, updating you on some tech knowledge, tech skills, and also we are going to update you on content strategic, more about research, how to conduct academic and organization research, and also we are going to keep you abreast of some latest social issues, especially for academic people, individuals who are in the academic. So the essence of this channel is to take you across tech, as I said earlier, content strategy, research, and also social issues. We'll be diving into how you can effectively conduct a research. What are those things that you need to put in place if you are conducting a research, and also what are those tech skills that you need to pay attention to. How do you maximize your talent, especially bridging the gap between digital skills and the labor market? Some of the tech skills like artificial intelligence, website development, all tech skills will be discussed in this channel, and you'll be trained, you will be well equipped in some of these skills. So all you just have to do is subscribe to this channel, share this video, like, comment, and also comment, and also suggest, even you can even suggest some possible topics which you felt I should explain or I should take note of. So once again, if you are a new subscriber, you are welcome to this channel, and also if you are a returning subscriber, as I said earlier, you are more familiar with this channel already, so you are welcome once again. So today's topic, I will be sharing with you references. How do you cite? What are those things that you need to put in place? How does citation works? When do you cite? What are those things that you need to know about referencing? What are the types of references that we have? How do you generate references? What are those errors, common errors that student and professional makes, especially if they are referencing? So what to know, where to know, how to know, and what are those things that you need to put in place if you want to cite? These are some of the things that you will be learning in this channel. I'm going to be unveiling how you can reference, what are those type of references that are available, so that you can fully equip yourself with necessary skills that are needed for you to survive both the academic world and the professional world. So basically, a reference style is a standardized way of referencing your source in the text and in the reference list. One example is to use parentheses in the text with information about the author and the year of publication. For example, what is the essence of references? You may be wondering that, okay, why is references important? Okay, most times I've seen a lot of write-up, especially for underlevel students, like, okay, writing maybe like a 3-page write-up without even citing any references. That is very, very bad, in the sense that normally if you are given an assignment and you consult the internet, maybe a website, or you download a journal or a books, and you pick some write-up inside that journal, it is imperative for you to acknowledge what other scholars has done in that particular area which you are researching, in the sense that, okay, assuming that maybe I'm trying to research on maybe child sexual abuse in the United States, maybe typed it on Google and I saw a lot of journals on it, and maybe a lot of, maybe like 69 scholars has written something tangible on that particular topics. if I pick any information from that particular write-up which I downloaded or the website which I consulted, so that I will not be challenged for intellectual properties, intellectual property, especially when it comes to intellectual theft. I have to reference it, because if I did not reference it and I copied it word for word without referencing, there's a particular software which is often called Turnitin. Turnitin will actually bring the source, the various source which I gone through to bring out some of this write-up that I use. So for you to be on the safer side, so that you won't be accused of intellectual theft, it is imperative, or it is important, or it is quintessential for you to what, to recite other scholars. Okay, maybe other scholars said blah 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 blah, child sexual abuse, the prevalent rate of child sexual abuse is maybe like 8% in United States of America. It is quite okay for you to acknowledge what other scholars have done. There's no crime for you in picking what other scholars did, but it is a crime if you picked what other scholars have done and you did not reference them. So you can be sued for intellectual theft. So this is how academics reference works, in the sense that if you are citing, or if you are using a particular sources, it is important for you to do what? Acknowledge these sources, so that you won't be challenged for intellectual theft, as I said earlier. So, however, if now that you've known, or you are familiar with what references is all about and why references is very, very important, then what is references type? You may be not references. I've heard of it before. Then what are those references types that you need to put in place? A references style is a standardized way of referencing your source in the text and in the reference list. One example is to use parentheses in the text with information about the author and the year of publication. Another is to number the references in the text. Most often times, if you see particular journals, you see them citing author, like, okay, this author, like, okay, maybe bracket, you will see the year, the name of the author together with comma, and maybe like the year of publication. These are ways of citing your source. Maybe you check online on maybe like child sexual abuse in the United States, maybe prevalent of child sexual abuse in the United States, and you discover that the person who wrote the piece that you are reading is maybe like Emmanuel and James, and maybe the year of publication of that particular information which you are reading or which you read was maybe like 2011. If you are going to, maybe assuming that this is the information that you got from the website that you visit or the journals that you downloaded, at the end you have to acknowledge that, okay, Emmanuel and James, 2021, close parentheses. So this is a way of what? Acknowledging them, that this particular information that I wrote down, it is Emmanuel and James that did or that conducted a research in this particular area and got this particular result. So these are some of the things that you just need to put in place. So the references style is just a way of what? Citing your source. Is a way of citing your source, and also a way of acknowledging what other scholars have done. So as I said earlier, in every subject field there are preferences when it comes to how sources should be cited. Historians use footnotes, social scientists use parentheses in the text, and so on. There are a lot of variation in both parentheses and footnote. The researcher needs to adjust their reference type to the journal or publisher in question. However, as a student, it is important that you learn the basic principle of citing. Okay, take for example now. Let me show you. Maybe assuming that maybe you consulted a books now. Maybe you just, this is the information that you picked and you want to acknowledge, okay, maybe two author wrote that book. At the end of this, if we just put James and Law 2020, the year of publication here, just to explain. But here, if maybe you are using a particular source and maybe you discover that, assuming that maybe you are working on something relating to maybe like homosexuality, and you want to talk about maybe like the prevalence of homosexuality in the United States. Maybe James and Law 2020 conducted a research on what, on homosexuality in the United States. Assuming that maybe you're not trying to look at maybe like prevalence of homosexuality, those scholars that have done or that have researched on that particular field, you will not cite that maybe or maybe assuming that maybe peer pressure is among the factors acknowledged by James and Law 2020. The moment you write James and Law 2020, maybe a similar opinion was shared by what, another scholars, assuming another scholars that shared that particular opinion with James and Law, maybe Peter and Olive 1996 also said something related to it in 1996. The way you are going to cite this will be quite different from the way you are going to cite a statement that acknowledge more than two authors. So maybe James and Law 2020, instead of you using ordinary comma like this, you use this particular sign, this one, then Peter and Olive 1996, then Ferdinand, and maybe these are the three scholars that research on on this particular statement which I put here, just for example. So how do you choose a citation style? There are different ways of citing sources from your research. The citation style sometimes depends on the academic discipline involved. For example, if you're an 100 level student, you'll be hearing something like maybe you have to use maybe like upper style, or if you're a 400 level student or a 300 level student, or maybe like a postgraduate student, you'll be hearing something like, okay, use upper style, use Harvard style, use Chicago style, use MLA, use Turambia. These are some of the things that you just have to put into consideration, especially by keeping abreast of what your department or what your supervisor desire. There are some schools that they will tell you that their method of citing or their method of referencing is what is APA, which is American Psychological Association, mostly used by the education, psychology, and science. Mostly even in social science, we make use of what? APA. There are some schools that they will tell you that no, we are not using APA. We use Harvard. Most especially schools in UK and also schools in some schools in America. There are some schools that they will tell you that no, we are not using APA, we are using Chicago style. So how do you now know, okay, which one to use, especially if you are dealing with diverse citation style? Then the question is, you have to seek the opinion of your superiors. Okay, it may be maybe someone superior to you that, okay, I want to inquire which citation style should I use for my project, or which citation style, which method of references should I use for this particular assignment. Although most assignments, most supervisor, so they specifically tell students that, okay, this is a particular citation style that I want you to use. Sometimes they even specify which font size you should use, which line of spacing you should use, and also the font family you use. There are some schools that they will tell you that use Calibri. Some school will tell you that use Area. Some school will tell you use Time News Roman. So this you have to what? Pay attention to, okay, which referencing styles does my school accept, or does my supervisor accept? Then once you are familiar with it, then you have to what? Do what? Have what? A kind of maybe like idea of how do I cite. Okay, aside from this, okay, whether you choose APA, whether you choose MLA, whether you choose Chicago style, all you just have to do what? You just have to pay attention to which one does what does your supervisor or does your school want, in the sense that, okay, beyond this, like, okay, this is a particular statement and you want to reference. There are some schools that they will tell you that they don't like you including author's name in between text. They prefer that, okay, rather than you using author's name in between text, you should make use of what? Number. Like you should represent each scholar, each reference using what? Using number. So instead of you to what? To do to write James and Law, all you just have to do what is to open a parenthesis and write, maybe in your reference at the end, maybe under your appendix, or your references under your, maybe this one will what? Will be maybe like James, maybe we represent one, while this one will represent what? Benson and Bella. Let me quickly show you a kind of template so as to be familiar with what I'm talking about. There's some references that it will what? You have to what? Pay attention to it and what? Be careful. You have to seek what? Clarification on which one does your what does your department want. Take for example, let me show you a typical example of what I'm trying to say. Like, look at this one now. This particular write-up that I'm showing you now. If you look at it very well, assuming that maybe you downloaded a journal, maybe this is an example of the journal that you just downloaded. This one is written by Neta R. Hardy, Christy L. Solowski, and maybe like G. Ratcliffe, J.R. Anderson. Then this one. So one thing you just have to pay attention to is, okay, if you want to acknowledge something like this, maybe like this particular write-up now, you want to acknowledge what they've said now. They wrote on what? Association between family of origin, climate, relationship, self-regulation, and marital outcome. If you look at it very well, they are the one that wrote this particular work. But within their write-up, they consulted other scholars. Okay, this particular statement now, like research appears to support this notion as negative family of origin experience have been linked to lower level of relationship quality and increased risk of divorce. It is not the scholar's statement. It is a statement made by what? Amato 1996. Just as I said earlier, Amato 1996 made reference to this statement. Likewise, Conga, Queer, Bright, and Elder 2000 also affirmed this particular statement. This is just what? If you have, assuming that maybe you have more than what? You have only this scholar alone. You don't need this. But since you have more than one scholar, then that's why you need to put what? This particular comma as separation to it. So, likewise, this one also, it is a statement made by what? this particular Alfred Nixon, Wixon, and Ochipiti in 2007. This is the year of what? Of publication. The year of publication always what? Comes last. So these are some of the things that you just have to pay attention to. However, in some journals or in some textbook, you will not see something like this. This particular statement will be represented by what? By either one, and the reference what will be put here. You get? So you have to pay attention to, and everything depends on what? The style which your institution or your supervisor wants. So at the end of this, maybe you consulted a lot of journals or a lot of publication online, and you've used this, you've cited them, you've acknowledged them. You have to what? Put them at the end, which is what we call what? References. Take for example now, we make mention of Amato 1996. This is the citation here. This is a citation here. This is what? The citation of Amato here. So a lot of this one is trying to tell you that these are what? These are the journals, or these are the textbook which the author that wrote this particular journal publication I'm showing you consulted. So you have to pay attention to some of these things, in the sense that it is good for you to what? To cite them while you are writing, but it will really make sense to do a finished job by what? By acknowledging some or all of them, all of them in your reference list. Most people usually make mistake in the sense that in your write-up you will cite maybe like 16 authors. In your reference list, you will not cite them finish. You will only cite maybe like 8. Then the question is, where are the other 8? So you have to pay attention to, if you are going to use maybe like 8 authors in your write-up, that the references of that 8 author must also must be included at the end of your write-up, so that it tells more about you, in the sense that it makes you professional in the academic world. Like, okay, this person really knows what he or she is doing. But if you use maybe like 16 authors in your assignment, and at the end of your work, in your references list, you are now listing maybe like 5 or 8, it doesn't speak well of you as an academia. So these are some of the things that you just have to pay attention to. So another one which I'm going to show you is, look at it. Like now studies, this one is trying to look at agile Omoluabi leadership and workplace happiness. This one is trying to look at it is a write-up which I did for someone. Okay, studies on leadership have elucidated how different leadership perspectives, transformation, transactional, and authentic leaderships have influenced dynamic management position. This particular statement is made by a scholar. This number that I use is a scholar, is a scholar representation of this statement. But this one is based on the requirements of my client, in the sense that my client told me that our school doesn't want them citing authors inside their assignment. Rather, they prefer them using numbers to represent scholars, publication. So like now 1650, let me just show you at the end. 1650, I'll show you here. Look at it. This is 16, and this is scholars that said this statement, number 16 here. So anybody that is reading, once they see 16, they will come down to to here, to this number. Okay, 16 for Dachi, AE, and Mukulu. What? The effect of transformation leadership on employee. So this one is trying to tell you that, okay, this particular 16, this particular one, correlate what? Correlate with what? With the right up above. Likewise, 50 here. This is 50. And we have what? 3. This is 50 here. And we have 3 here. Number 3. Here also. Here also. So just to tell you that what? Different way of citing, different method of citing. But what if you look at it very well, this method of citation is quite different from what? From this method of citation. From this method of citation. You get? So you will even be wondering that, okay, this one now, this particular referencing list doesn't make use of what? Numbers. Doesn't make use of number. But the question is, why is number important? Okay, assuming that maybe I did not attach numbers to what? To all these scholars. Although the citation was arranged alphabetically. But the question is, I want to use numbers to represent them. The moment I arrange them alphabetically, I assign a what? A numbers to each scholars. So down from 1 to what? To the last reference list. So it is the scholars that opine a particular statement. Since Dachi, AE, and Mukulu are the ones that said this statement, and Dachi fall under what? 16. I have to do what? Acknowledge it here. If I did not assign numbers to them, I won't be able to what? This reference list is incomplete, because I won't be able to know which particular scholars opine a particular statement. So this particular referencing style is Turambia style of referencing. This particular referencing style was specifically stated in the assignment given to my client that you have to what? Make use of what? Turambia style of what? Of referencing style. Where this one now, we have what? Upper style. This one is upper style of references. So you have to what? Pay attention to what? What your schools want, your supervisor want, and what? You have to learn how to what? How do you cite? So in my next video, I will be explaining, okay, how do you cite, However, if you have any question in relation to some of these things that I said, or you are not clear, you can drop a comment for me. I'm going to respond to it. So I hope you've learned some of these things, especially on what you need to know about references. Why is references important? What is references style? How to cite authors? How do you choose a particular citation styles? What are the various citation style templates, which I've showed you a practical example of it, and common mistakes in referencing list, especially those mistakes which scholars usually make whenever they are citing, and also the use of number citation, inline number citation style. So I hope you've gained 1 or 2 things in this particular videos. So, and I really appreciate your time which you spent, especially in listening to this particular video. So the next video which I will be explaining to you, I will be teaching you how to how to generate references using Microsoft Word. So these are some of the things that I will be talking about. Although, if you remember very well, I explained the different citation styles that we have. So the next videos will take you through how you can navigate some of this problem, because you may be wondering that for 100 level student who does not have detailed knowledge of those things that you need to put in place, because basically what you need to know is that whether you like it or not, upper style citation is very different from Chicago style. Harvard is very different from what MLA. MLA is very different from Torambia style of reference. Each references style have their own unique way of writing it, and also even if you are using upper style, if you are, the way you are going to cite journals will be quite different from the way you are going to cite books. The way you are going to cite website link will be quite different from the way you are going to cite journals or books. Or so this is also applicable to other references style. If you are using Chicago style and you are using you got a source from a website, so the way you are going to cite website link under Chicago style of reference will be quite different. So the question now is, for someone who does not have adequate knowledge of those rules that guide some of these references style, then how do I navigate this? How do I solve it? How do I see through some of these problems that are likely to occur? So the next video which I will be dropping will take you through some of this process which you can mitigate some of these problems. So thank you very much, and also don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And also, if you have any question, always drop it at the comment section, and I will be glad to respond to it. Thank you very much. See you in our next video. God bless.